Hi, in this video we're going to look at an introduction to Actionscript 3.0. Actionscript is a good language to learn. It's very similar to languages like JavaScript, which is also an ECMA or ECMA language, and it's an object-oriented language as well. With Actionscript we're able to create interactive animations, movies or games. And in this first video we're just going to look at the basics, things like naming conventions, and the first introduction to the Actions panel. Now to start with, I'm going to create a new Flash file and make sure it's the Actionscript 3.01. And I'm just going to quickly draw a rectangle out onto the stage. Now we're going to convert that rectangle to a movie clip, so that way we can actually talk to it with our Actionscript. I'm going to call this rectangle, leave it as a movie clip, and just hit OK. Now one of the most important things to get started with action scripting is to actually be able to identify what we're talking to with our action script. We need to give our symbol here an instance name. So if I look up in the top right hand corner in the properties panel, there's a little dialog box there that says instance name. Now I'm going to click in there and I'm going to call this rectangle and I'm going to do _MC. Now the _MC will signify to ActionScript that this is a movie clip, and you'll see why this is important in a moment. So once I've typed that in, I'm just going to hit enter, and I've now given this particular rectangle an instance name. What I'm going to do now is go to my library, and I'm just going to drag out two more instances of this symbol. And I'm going to edit each one just so we can tell that they are a little bit different. So you can edit these however you want, it's not overly important, it's just so we can tell that each one is different. Okay, so I simply resized and moved some of these around so we can tell the differences. What I want to do now is I want to give an instance name to each of these symbols. So this one here is still rectangle _MC. I'm going to change that to rectangle 1 _MC. I'm going to click on my next one here, I'm going to call that one rectangle 2 _MC. And the last one I'm going to call rectangle 3 _MC. Now obviously each one has to have a different name because we need to be able to identify with each one separately when we use our action script. What I'm going to do now is create a new layer, and I'm going to call that layer Actions. Now all of the opening action scripting that we do, we're going to create in our timeline on a layer called Actions. Later on, when you get a bit more advanced, you can actually create external action script and link it into your SWF. Now to bring up the actual actions panel, I can click in my frame 1 on the actions layer, and I can go to Window, Actions, and the panel will appear. Or I can just simply click in the frame and press F9. However, the recording software I'm using, F9, will actually pause this, so I'm going to have to go to Windows Actions. You can also right click and click the Actions button just there. Now in the Actions panel, you may see the code hinting here that open on the left. We're not going to worry about that, so I've minimized it. And I've also got it set up to word wrap, which will make sure anything I type doesn't go across the side of the screen here. It just makes it easier to actually see what we're doing. Okay, so what we're going to do with our very first action scripting is simply change the properties of each of these symbols. So I'm going to quickly close this, and what I mean is everything we see in the properties panel here, when I choose a symbol, things like style, alpha, tint, brightness, all of these things which we actually could do in the properties panel, we're going to do using ActionScript, and it's just a good way to get introduced to how to actually type in this panel. So I'm going to reopen my actions. Now to identify and change a property with ActionScript, all we simply need to do is type in the instance name. So I'm going to type in rectangle 1 _MC and then press full stop, the dot button. Now the _MC becomes really important because, as you can see, when I press that full stop button, Flash gives me what we call code hinting. Flash can tell that rectangle 1 is a movie clip because I've given it the _MC. So now when I press full stop, Flash shows me every single thing that I can do with ActionScript to a movie clip. Now I'm just going to do something simple. I'm going to change the alpha. So I'm going to select alpha. I could click on it with my mouse, double click, or I could just type it. So if I do mc.al, you see alpha gets highlighted, I could press enter. I'm then going to do space equals space 0.5 semicolon. Now what I'm saying here is that rectangle 1 underscore MC alpha property is going to equal 0.5, so in other words half. Now the alpha works from 0 to 1, 1 being full, 0 being completely empty, and the semicolon here is very important. It acts as, imagine, a full stop in a sentence. It's an end statement, so it's saying this is the end of what I want to say. I'm going to close my actions panel, and as you can see on the stage here, nothing is actually changed. And that's because for me to actually see the effects of the action script, I need to test or play or publish, whatever you want to say, this actual animation. So I'm going to press Control Enter, and you will notice now that rectangle 1 has an alpha of half of the other two symbols. Okay, so I'm going to do one more. So I'm going to go to rectangle 2 underscore MC dot, and once again I will get my code hinting. This time I'm going to play around with scale. So I'm going to type in SCALE, and I'm going to have to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to choose scale X. Space equals, I'm going to say 5, end statement, sorry, keep pressing the wrong keys there, end statement, and test it. And you will notice that my rectangle 2 has now scaled up at that axis a lot larger than what it previously was. So that there is just a quick introduction to how you can actually edit your movie clips and their properties through the use of ActionScript 3.